There comes a moment in every person's life when you realize the greatest battle you'll ever fight isn't against the world. It's against yourself. It's not your circumstances, not your past, not your failures. It's the voice inside your head that whispers, you can't. That voice has destroyed more dreams than any obstacle ever could. But today, I want you to silence that voice and take command of the one thing that truly shapes your destiny, your mindset. See, success doesn't start with resources. It starts with resourcefulness. It's not about what you have, but what you believe you can create. Every champion, every visionary, every person who transformed their life, they all mastered one skill above all. They mastered their mind. Because when you master your mindset, you master your world. Think about it. Two people face the same problem. One sees a dead end. The other sees a challenge to rise above. What's the difference? Mindset, the power to interpret reality differently, the power to turn pain into purpose, setbacks into comebacks, and fear into fuel. That's what separates the average from the unstoppable. The truth is, your mind is like a muscle. It grows with challenge or it weakens with comfort. Every time you choose courage over comfort, discipline over distraction, growth over excuses, you're reprogramming your brain for greatness. But if you keep feeding it fear, self-doubt, and negativity, your dreams start to die before they even begin. So ask yourself right now, what stories are you telling yourself? Because your story defines your state and your state defines your life. If you keep saying, I'm not good enough, you'll find proof of it everywhere. But if you say, I'm built for more, the world will start to align with that belief. Change your story and you'll change your entire destiny. Mindset mastery is not about ignoring pain. It's about using it. It's about saying, this is not happening to me. It's happening for me. Life is going to test you, not to break you, but to build you. When everything falls apart, your mindset is the only thing that decides whether you stay down or rise higher than ever before. You are not your past. You are not your mistakes. You are the thinker behind the thoughts, the director behind the movie. Once you realize that you reclaim your power, the power to design your life intentionally, not emotionally, the power to live each day with passion, purpose, and unstoppable belief. Because when you master your mind, you master your emotions. When you master your emotions, you master your actions. And when you master your actions, you master your results. Everything begins and ends in the mind. So today, make a decision, not a wish, not a hope, a decision to take full control of your mind. Feed it strength, feed it vision, feed it gratitude. Because a strong mind doesn't follow feelings, it creates them. Your next level of life doesn't require luck, it requires mindset mastery. Train it, guard it, sharpen it, and watch your entire world transform. Every single day, we wake up and face the world thinking the battle is out there in our job, our relationships, our finances, or the economy. But the truth is, none of those things have as much power as the thoughts inside your mind. The real battle isn't what's happening around you, it's what's happening within you. Your mind can either be your greatest weapon or your greatest weakness. Most people lose before they even start because they let fear, doubt, and insecurity run the show. They think their circumstances define them, when in reality, it's their mindset that decides everything. You can have all the talent, all the intelligence, and all the resources in the world, but if your mind is programmed for limitation, you'll keep finding reasons why things won't work. The person with the strongest mindset always wins, not because life is easier for them, but because they refuse to let circumstances control their state of mind. They understand that their internal world shapes their external world. If you believe you can't, you'll act small. If you believe you can, you'll find a way. The moment you shift your thinking, you shift your direction. Think about how many times you've talked yourself out of greatness. The opportunity was there, but that small, quiet voice said, what if you fail? That voice isn't truth. It's fear dressed as logic. The most dangerous limits are not the ones the world puts on you, but the ones you place on yourself. When you let negative thoughts dictate your actions, you hand over your power. But when you take command of your mind, you become unstoppable because nothing external can break someone who's unshakable inside. The mind is like a battlefield filled with competing voices, one telling you to give up and one telling you to rise. Every decision you make strengthens one side or the other. Every time you choose courage, you build mental muscle. Every time you choose doubt, you feed weakness. Mastering the mind begins with awareness, catching those thoughts before they control you. The moment you decide to stop being a victim of your own thinking, everything begins to change. Because once you win the war in your mind, victory in the world becomes inevitable. Most people spend their lives waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect opportunity, or the perfect set of resources to start something great. They believe success is a result of luck or having the right connections, money, or timing. But those are just illusions. What truly separates those who achieve greatness from those who settle is their resourcefulness, the ability to create something out of nothing. It's not about what's in your hand, it's about what's in your mind. You can take two people, give them the same challenge, and one will say, I can't do it because I don't have enough, while the other will say, I'll find a way. That difference in attitude changes everything. The most successful people on the planet weren't handed their victories. They were handed problems, obstacles, and uncertainty, and they turned those into stepping stones. They used imagination when they lacked money, persistence when they lacked support, and vision when no one believed in them. Resourcefulness is the birthplace of creativity, innovation, and resilience. It's the moment when you stop waiting for the world to give you permission and start using everything you already have to move forward. Every obstacle becomes raw material for growth when you think this way. When you train your mind to be resourceful, you stop saying, I can't, and start asking, how can I? That simple shift of language activates a new level of power inside you. Your brain begins to look for solutions instead of excuses. Suddenly, challenges that seemed impossible become opportunities to grow stronger, smarter, and more determined. Every great breakthrough started with someone who refused to be limited by what they didn't have. They tapped into something deeper: creativity, drive, and faith. Life rewards those who take ownership of their reality. When you rely on external conditions, you give away your control. But when you rely on your inner strength, you become unstoppable. The economy can crash, people can doubt you, plans can fail, but as long as your mindset remains flexible and solution focused, you can rebuild, reinvent, and rise. Resourcefulness is the ultimate power because it comes from within. The moment you choose to see yourself as the creator, not the victim, you become limitless. Two people can go through the exact same situation and walk away with completely different experiences. One feels broken, the other feels awakened. The difference isn't in what happened, but in what meaning they gave to it. Mindset defines meaning, and meaning defines life. Everything you experience passes through the filter of your perception. The event itself is neutral. It's your interpretation that gives it power. When something painful happens, you can decide it's the end of your story, or you can decide it's the beginning of a comeback. That choice, that inner narrative, determines your strength, your happiness, and your future. Life will test you. It will hand you disappointment, betrayal, and failure. But those moments don't define who you are. The meaning you attach to them does. Some people use pain as a reason to stop. Others use it as fuel to grow. When your mindset is fixed on possibility instead of limitation, you start to see meaning in everything. The heartbreak that once crushed you becomes the lesson that built your empathy. The failure that embarrassed you becomes the experience that sharpened your vision. Every challenge contains the seed of transformation, but only if you choose to see it that way. The power of meaning is what separates survivors from thrivers. Most people live in reaction. They let emotions dictate their story. But those who master mindset learn to pause and reframe. They ask, what can this teach me? How can I use this? The mind becomes a lens through which life is interpreted, and when that lens is clear and focused, even pain can be seen as a teacher. The truth is, life doesn't always give you control over events, but it always gives you control over perspective. The moment you understand that meaning is a choice, you gain freedom. No one can decide what something means for you, not your past, not your failures, not your circumstances. You can redefine everything. You can take a moment of defeat and turn it into a declaration of growth. You can look at every closed door and realize it wasn't rejection, it was redirection. Mindset mastery begins when you stop asking, why me? And start saying, this is for me. Growth never comes from comfort. It's forged in the fires of challenge, in those moments when you feel stretched, uncertain, or even afraid. The mind grows through resistance the same way muscles grow through tension. Without challenge, there is no expansion. Yet most people spend their lives running from discomfort, seeking ease, and avoiding failure. What they don't realize is that by escaping challenge, they also escape growth. Every obstacle life places in front of you is not there to stop you, but to shape you into someone stronger, wiser, and more capable than before. When you face adversity, you discover what you're truly made of. You learn how deep your patience runs, how powerful your persistence is, and how creative you can become under pressure. Challenges have a way of exposing both your weaknesses and your hidden strengths. They show you where you need to grow and what beliefs need to change. The people who rise to greatness aren't those who had an easy road. They're the ones who walked through the storm and used every hardship as training. Every time life pushed them down, they built stronger mental muscles to rise again. The truth is, growth doesn't feel good while it's happening. It feels uncomfortable, chaotic, even painful. But pain is not punishment, it's progress. Every failure carries feedback. Every rejection sharpens resilience. Every struggle builds inner strength that cannot be learned from comfort. When you start to see challenge as your greatest teacher, fear loses its control over you. You stop asking for life to be easier and start asking to become stronger. That's when transformation happens. The people who master their mindset don't avoid challenge, they seek it. They understand that the mind, like a blade, must be tested to stay sharp. Every time you push yourself beyond what's easy, you expand what's possible. What once felt impossible becomes normal, and your capacity grows. That's how leaders are born, how innovators rise, how champions are created. Growth is not a one-time event. It's a constant process of stepping into discomfort and trusting that you'll come out greater on the other side. The struggle is the path, and the challenge is the invitation to evolve. The story you tell yourself every day becomes the foundation of your reality. Every belief, every emotion, and every action stems from the internal narrative playing inside your mind. If that story is filled with limitation, fear, and doubt, your life will reflect it. But if it's filled with purpose, strength, and possibility, you'll begin to attract experiences that match that energy. The words you repeat to yourself are powerful. They program your subconscious, shape your identity, and influence every decision you make. Most people live inside a story they never chose, a story written by their past, their environment, or the opinions of others. The moment you take back the pen and start rewriting that story, you take back control of your destiny. Every person carries a script in their mind about who they are. Some say, I'm not smart enough, I'm too late, or I always fail. These aren't facts, they're just mental habits. The human brain looks for confirmation of whatever story it believes. So if you tell yourself you can't succeed, your mind will find evidence to prove it. But when you shift the story to one of empowerment, I'm learning, I'm growing, I'm capable, your brain begins to align with that new truth. This is how transformation begins, not by changing your environment first, but by changing the meaning you assign to yourself. Rewriting your story requires awareness and courage. You must face the lies you've believed and replace them with truth. It's not about ignoring your past, it's about interpreting it differently. Every failure becomes a lesson. Every heartbreak becomes proof of resilience. Every dark moment becomes a chapter of strength. When you change the narrative from, why did this happen to me, to what did this teach me, you reclaim power from pain. The most powerful people aren't those who never suffered. They're the ones who refused to let their suffering define them. They became the authors of their own lives. You have that same power. You can decide that your story isn't one of limitation, but a growth, perseverance, and purpose. The moment you stop letting your past write your future and begin to write it yourself, you step into a version of you that's unstoppable, unbreakable, and free. Emotions are the fuel that drives every human action. They determine how we think, how we act, and ultimately what results we create. Most people live at the mercy of their emotions. If they feel motivated, they act. If they feel discouraged, they stop. But those who master their emotions understand that feelings are temporary and controllable. They know that emotions don't have to dictate behavior. Instead, behavior can influence emotion. When you master your emotions, you gain the power to stay calm in chaos, confident in uncertainty, and focus when everything around you tries to distract you. The way you feel at any moment is the result of what you focus on, the meaning you give it, and the state of your body. Change one of those three, and you instantly change how you feel. That means emotional mastery is a skill, not a gift. You can train yourself to feel empowered even in the middle of difficulty by controlling your focus and physiology. People who live in fear focus on what they can't control. People who live in power focus on what they can. Emotional control starts when you choose to focus on gratitude instead of loss, strength instead of weakness, and solutions instead of problems. When you let emotions control you, life becomes reactive. You ride a roller coaster of highs and lows, driven by whatever situation comes next. But when you master emotions, you become the driver instead of the passenger. You can decide how to respond rather than being controlled by reaction. This is how leaders rise above pressure. They feel fear but act with courage. They feel doubt but move with purpose. Their emotions serve them rather than enslave them. True emotional mastery is not about avoiding negative emotions. It's about transforming them. Anger can become determination, sadness can become understanding, and fear can become focus. Every emotion carries energy. Mastery means directing that energy toward growth instead of destruction. When you train your mind and body to respond with intention instead of impulse, you develop unshakable stability. You stop being pulled by circumstances and start leading them. This is the point where life shifts, because once you master your emotions, your decisions become consistent, your actions become powerful, and your results become extraordinary. No matter who you are or where you come from, your life will always rise or fall to the level of your mindset. Every challenge, every dream, every relationship you build begins in the mind. The world doesn't change until you do. When you master your thoughts, you master your emotions. When you master your emotions, you master your actions. And when you master your actions, you shape a destiny that reflects your highest potential. Mindset mastery isn't about perfection. It's about awareness, discipline, and choice. Every single day, you have the power to choose strength over fear, gratitude over doubt, and growth over comfort. That's how transformation happens. That's how you become unstoppable. So as you walk away from this message, make a decision right now to raise your standards. Not someday, but today. Speak to yourself with power. Feed your mind with belief. Surround yourself with energy that pushes you forward. Because when your mind is aligned with purpose, nothing in this world can hold you back. Remember, your mindset is the foundation of everything. Protect it, train it, and use it to design a life that excites you every morning you wake up. If this message inspired you or gave you that spark to think bigger, then I'd love for you to become part of this growing community. Hit that subscribe button right now, not just to support the channel, but to invest in yourself. Join the journey where we dive deeper into mindset, motivation, and personal growth every single week. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss a new video that fuels your focus and your fire. Your support means the world. Every like, comment, and share helps this message reach more people who need that reminder of their power. So take a moment right now, like the video, drop a comment about your biggest takeaway, and share it with someone who could use a little extra motivation today. Thank you for spending your time here with me. I appreciate your energy, your presence, and your belief in your own growth. Keep pushing forward, keep believing in yourself, and never forget your mind is your greatest weapon, your greatest ally, and your greatest advantage. Until next time, stay strong, stay focused, and keep mastering your mindset. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next video.